Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a very late, but better late than never, August wrap up. So in August I read 10 books, and among them there was three 5 stars. So yeah, I was pretty lucky in August. So the first book I read in August was The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. So I gave this one a 3-star. I went into it thinking it was going to be like a haunted house kind of situation, but that was not the case. So it turns out we're following this family who moved back to their hometown where they grew up as kids, and we find out that the father went through a lot of child abuse growing up by his alcoholic dad. And basically what I took from the story was that we were looking at how the cycle of abuse can continue from one generation to the other, and how the cycle can also be broken. But then you have elements of like dark magic, you've got alternate universes, like there's like bullying elements. Like there's a lot in it. Like don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it. I just felt like the story was maybe dragged out a little too long. I think it would have actually been a really good story had it been shorter. I just felt like it got to a point where I was like, all right, okay, can we just get on with it? So it's like when I got to that point, I was kind of debating whether or not to just, DNF the book or not. But I persevered and I finished it. It wasn't the worst book I read, but it wasn't, the best book either. I was actually worried that I wasn't going to be able to go into another book after, because I just felt like it took a lot out of me, especially for the first book of the month. But it didn't hit the mark for me, unfortunately. So the next book I read was more of a graphic novel, and that was Paper Girls. So I heard a few people talk about this graphic novel, and I'm not usually one who reads graphic novels or manga, but when Lore Olympus came out, that was the first one that I actually read that was a graphic novel, and I loved it. So this kind of sounded right up my alley. It's supposed to be give off Stranger Things vibes, and it definitely does. So this book, we're following a group of girls who are paper delivery girls. So we're basically following them on the early mornings of the night, like the night of Halloween. So Halloween is just over, and they're going out, crack of dawn to deliver the papers. So they kind of meet a few weirdos along the way, and then, things lead to some crazy discoveries, and, time travel and whatnot becomes a thing. I haven't read any other ones yet because I didn't realise how many there was actually in the series, and I don't particularly feel like buying all them individually. So what I'm planning to do is buy the collection. So I think there's 3 books at the moment where the collection divided up between them. So I definitely think I'll get them and continue on with the series. I did give this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So I did watch the first episode on Prime, and it does kind of stay true to the comic, which is quite nice. I really enjoyed the characters. I think the characters are great. I definitely liked Mac. I thought she was quite quirky and real kind of badass. So yeah, really enjoyed that one, and again gave that 5 stars. So the next book I picked up was The Retreat by Sarah Pierce. So this one is a murder mystery, and I think I've talked about it before already. So this is the second in a series following a detective, Ellen Warner, I think is her name, I think. So this one, basically we're following a group of sisters and their partners who go to a retreat on a remote island. So again, I love a good murder mystery, and I definitely love somewhere where you're kind of remote and you're trapped, you can't get anywhere. So yeah, that's basically the premise of this. So when they arrive at the island, one of the sisters is a influencer, and she has been gifted this trip as long as she, promotes it on her social media. So early on in the book, we come across the first death. So really you kind of question every character in the story, and that's what I loved about it. And then there was really good twists at the end that I actually didn't see coming, surprisingly enough, because usually I'd figure out these things quite early on. But no, I didn't figure it out, and I really loved the twist. And just one of the sisters, oh my God, yeah. I definitely recommend reading this. But first off, pick up the first one, which is Sanatorium, and then read this one, because it is a continuation of Ellen Warner's story. So if you haven't read the first one, you might not pick up on certain things. But yeah, really, really enjoyed it. And I think I gave this 4 stars. So my next 5-star read this month was It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. So earlier on in the summer, I read My Killer Vacation, and that was the first book by Tessa Bailey that I read. And I really enjoyed it. So I heard people kind of rave more about this one. So in this story, we're following Piper, and she's like this big socialite, and unfortunately she has a bit of an issue and falls from grace. And I think it was her stepdad, got really annoyed at the way she's been acting, so he decided that he was going to send her back to the town where her mother used to live, where her mother and father had met. And she gets sent back, and it's a really small town, it's a fisherman village, and it's some of the stuff that happens is fantastic. I loved her character development a lot. The way she was able to overcome this kind of situation, and I really, really enjoyed it. I kept imagining the actress who played I can't even remember her name, in Schitt's Creek, the sister. I just keep imagining that that's her. I think she'd be the perfect one if they ever adapted this book into a movie. She would definitely be the perfect actress. I was surprised though at the end, coming up to the end, I was nearly crying just because of some of the stuff that was happening. I was getting so frustrated, and I was like, why? But I have to say, I did love it. I loved the ending. I loved the story. I was literally captivated by the book. I couldn't stop reading it. And I did. I really loved it, and I'll definitely reread it again. There's some funny things in it. Like, seriously, I think the one thing that sticks out to me the most was he decided to set up a social media account, and his friends were trying to come up with usernames for him. And there were some really good ones, and they made me laugh. But yeah, really, really enjoyed that. And that was another 5-star read this month. Okay, so the next one is something a little bit deeper. And oh my God. So the next one is When I Was 10 by Fiona Cummins. So I'm trying to remember. I think I gave a 4-star. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. And holy cow, I did not realize that this was going to be as dark and as deep as it was. So this one we are following 2 sisters and a friend. So the 2 sisters, one of which murdered their parents, and only the 2 sisters and the best friend knows exactly what happened that night. But the best friend is now a journalist, and she's decided to look more into the past and what actually happened. And you're kind of bouncing between the two. You're like, did she do it? Didn't she do it? Like, what actually happened? But there is a lot of trigger warnings for it with regards to child abuse. Like, it was really sad, and like the bullying, the parental bullying towards the kids was really, really sad. And I really wasn't expecting it to be so heavy, but I really, really enjoyed it. I loved the twist at the end. It does take dark turns, and that's what I really liked about it. So I definitely recommend, if you're into that kind of thriller, murder mystery thing, definitely pick this one up. So then, after reading that quite heavy book, I end up going into an even heavier book, which I don't have the physical copy because I got it from my library. But I gave it 5 stars, and I do plan to buy the physical copy and reread it so I can annotate it, because it was just absolutely amazing book. And it was called The Antarctica of Love by Sarah Streisberg. And it is a Swedish, as far as I can remember, it is a Swedish translated book, and it was translated by Deborah Brannigan Turner. And I have to say, wow, this book was extremely heavy. It was sad. It broke my heart. It was just amazing. When I first took it out of the library, I thought it was going to be, about the murder of a woman and how her murder affected her family. That's what I thought it was. No, that wasn't what it was. So basically, the narrator, the story is actually the woman who was murdered, and it is her looking back on her life and all the decisions that she made that kind of, brought her to this point. and then it's her also looking at her family in the future, like looking at how, well, it's not really the future, but it's actually her looking at them as they go on now that she's gone, and how her choices and her death affected them. And it was so well written, and it just, oh my God, it broke my heart. Like, there's so many trigger warnings. We've got SA, we've got drug abuse, we've alcoholism, there's self-harm, there's unaliving. Like, there's a lot in this book, like a lot. So if you are planning to read it, I definitely recommend that you check out all the trigger warnings. It was just so, like, it was so moving. Like, it really kind of made you realize how lucky you are and what you have when you read a story like that. And I just, oh my God, like, I'm kind of frustrated at myself that I didn't do a reading vlog for it, because I would have had so much to say, really, to be honest. It was a fantastic book, and I really can't wait to buy the physical copy and annotate it, because there's just a lot that you can annotate in it, and I really, really enjoyed it. My favourite book this year, hands down, favourite book this year. So after that, I was like, right, I need something a little bit lighter, because that was heavy. So I ended up going with The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Again, I don't have the physical copy because I got this from the library, but this is the first Riley Sager book that I have read. I do have a copy of Home Before Dark, but I just haven't got around to reading it yet. So this one we are following, I think her name is Emma, and she attended a camp when she was younger, and the year that she attended, 3 of her bunkmates went missing and were never found. And the camp was then shut down because of this. So several years later, they decide to reopen the camp, and they've invited her to come back as a camp counsellor. So in the beginning, she wasn't going to go back, obviously, but then she decided to go back so she can try and investigate what actually happened to the girls and try and figure out, try to find them, basically. So I have to say, I did enjoy the book, but at the same time, I'm trying to remember, because it was a while ago since I read it, but I only gave it 3 stars, so that doesn't say much. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed, there was like a little twist at the end that I enjoyed, but I think all in all, I was waiting for a lot more to happen. Like, I felt like there was this big build up, and then it was kind of a letdown. I would have loved it to be more explosive at the end, because that's what I felt like we were building up to. And then I was kind of just like, oh, right. Now, don't get me wrong, there is some creepy elements to it as well that I really enjoyed. I didn't get bored reading the book, which is a sign, like, that's a good sign for me, because I do get bored very easily. I didn't get bored, and I kept reading. Like, it did keep me entwined. I enjoy his writing, but I think just this one wasn't for me, unfortunately. So the next book then, again, I don't have the physical copy because I got it from the library, and that's 18th Abduction by James Patterson. So this one was a 4-star again. This one we were following the abduction of, I think it was 3 teachers, and then the investigation then turns into a murder investigation. I did really enjoy it. I thought the twist was quite good, but again, it's just one of those books that it's a quick read. It's a great palate cleanser when you're going between big books. It's very quick read. The chapters are very short, and I listen to the audiobooks as well, so I can, I get it done even quicker. But I do love James Patterson books, but as I've said in the past, I am just trying to finish this series. So it's part of the Women's Murder Club series, and it's it's your usual detective crime solving duos. But yeah, still really enjoy his books. So the next one I read is Tokyo Ghoul. So this is my first ever manga. I have never read manga before, and I've been seeing a lot of people talking about Tokyo Ghoul and what was the other one? Monster, I think it was. But this one I was able to get my hands on from my library, so I picked it up along with the second and third one, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I'm so surprised at myself, because I really didn't think I would, because manga was never, I never had an interest in it, but I really enjoyed this one. So this one we're following Ken Kaneki. I think his name is Kaneki. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But basically, earlier on in the book, he thinks his luck has changed and he gets to go on a date with this really gorgeous girl. And it turns out that she is a ghoul and all she was interested in him was to eat him, basically. So after his encounter with this female ghoul, an accident happens and both of them get injured, but he survives and she doesn't. So doctors decide that they are going to transplant some of her organs into his body to save his life. So he ends up turning into the first half human, half ghoul. And we're basically following him coming to terms with this new transformation and him learning more about all these ghouls that are around him that he never knew about. And I just really enjoyed the story. I liked the characters and I just really liked it. And I think my sister was telling me, I think this was adapted into a TV show. So I must check that out. But I'm really enjoying it. And I think I'm halfway through, if not finished, the third one. And I'm still enjoying it, so I'm gonna have to try and get my hands on the fourth one. Okay, so last but not least is Praise by Sarah Kate. So this is the first in the Salacious Players Club. So in this book we are following Emerson Grant and Charlie / Charlotte. So basically Emerson is one of the co-owners of a Salacious Players Club. So this is a sex club for people who have different kinks. And his kink is kind of the dominant and he likes to have a submissive. So that's where the name Praise of the book comes into. So the twist in this is that Charlie is actually the ex-girlfriend of Emerson's son. So Charlie ends up getting a job working for Emerson as his secretary. But Emerson is starting to get growing feelings for Charlie, as is she for him. So there's a lot of sexual tension. There's that obviously forbidden romance. And I did enjoy it, but I just felt like at some points I was like, oh, for God's sake, can we just, move it along? I was getting a little bit bored. I did finish it though. I didn't DNF it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the best age gap kind of forbidden romance book that I read. I definitely leave that one to Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. That was fantastic. But yeah, I don't know, it didn't do it for me, unfortunately. I know there is more in the series that I am considering reading because I follow different men with their different kinks. So I might do that. I might read one or two of the other ones and see what I think, but just that one didn't do it for me. But yeah, that is everything that I read in August. Pretty chuffed with myself, and I'm doing even better in September. So I can't wait to do my September wrap up. So that was a good month. I had a few good 5 stars, thank God. So leave me a comment down below with a book that you read in August that you absolutely loved, or a book that you are currently reading that you would recommend. So if you made it this far in the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.